I got the prisoners back. I got the hostages back. And Otto was one of the hostages, but Otto came back in shape that was not even to be talked about. He tells me that he didn't know about it, and I will take him at his word.
President Trump saying that he doesn't believe Kim Jong-un had anything to do with the death of American prisoner Otto Warmbier. The revelation coming after a breakdown in the denuclearization talks with North Korea. All of this happening just within the last hour. So what does all this mean? The man who negotiated Otto's release, Mickey Bergman, is here to weigh in. Thank you for joining us again. We really appreciate it. Your response, hearing the president say that just moments ago, that he did not believe Kim Jong-un was aware of it. He went on to say he didn't even think that Kim Jong-un would have let it happen and that he felt bad about it.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at it. It might have been a little bit not clearly articulated by the president, but I think that probably what he meant is that Kim made an effort to say, I don't know what led to Otto's condition. I think that's what he means. I can tell you that after Otto came back, I had my North Korean counterparts, including all the way up to the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs, conveying to me as well on a personal level to say, hey, we didn't know about his condition. Now, it was the important thing about it was that they found it important enough to make that claim to me because they valued the relationship. So making sure that I don't believe they negotiated in bad faith. And I think it's not that dissimilar. So I understand what the president is saying on this.
So do you believe them? I mean, they had nothing to gain to allow this to happen. Do you believe that top leadership there in North Korea were not aware of what was happening?
I don't know in terms of what aware. I don't believe they had any interest in Otto getting to the condition that he did, and evidence to that I have for this is that it's the only American prisoner to which it happened to. That was an anomaly. Typically, our prisoners and hostages and detainees get back more or less in one piece.
Interesting, because I think this will come to as a surprise to a lot of folks hearing that today, hearing the president say that. You know, and people will say, well, he is naive in believing that because Kim Jong-un has killed his own family members. So why would he not be aware that something this horrific was happening, you know, to Otto and allow it to happen?
Yeah, again, I think there's a distinction here between not being aware that it happened to saying this was not intentional. It was an incident, a mistake, somebody went wrong, whatever happened there, which we don't know what happened. The leader is saying this was not our intention.
Okay. Well, in terms of what happened with the negotiations, the latest negotiations, what do you think went wrong? We are hearing that the United States went in, having become aware of apparently some other sites that they wanted to be targeted in terms of the denuclearization there in North Korea. Kim Jong-un not willing to bring those to the table, but yet at the same time wanting all of the sanctions lifted.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of quick points on this, Heather. First of all, I think this is not necessarily a failure because I believe that we talked about it a couple of days ago. No doesn't necessarily mean no, it means not yet. And I think that sometimes stepping away from the table is a negotiation tactic, and I think that's what we're seeing. Number two, it's important not to get into the spiral of all is lost. Because I think that the personal relations between Chairman Kim and the president are important, and they will pay dividends and are critical. And I would say on this, and maybe the time spent in Hanoi now actually helped both teams to get more realistic in details of what to expect, what is doable, what is achievable. And you and I talked about it a couple of days ago in terms of how far the North Koreans are willing to go. I would say, Heather, that if I were able to advise the president, I would say, Mr. President, let's put a third summit on the books right now for 3 or 4 months from now so our teams can start working. This is an action-forcing event. Let's get the teams back to negotiate, and let's pursue the return of American servicemen because it's a mutual interest. It's not only American, it's also North Korean interest. It helps us feel positive even when nuclear negotiations seem slow.
Yes, that's a great point, because none of that was addressed. I mean, that was something that we were taught. We're hoping to get more American service members that remains back home. That was not discussed. And then we're talking about these the possibility of liaison offices. That apparently not off the table as well. Well, we will see if he's listening to what you're saying, maybe in the next 3 or 4 months, the third summit. Mickey, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Heather.